a Living History production.
Hello and welcome to Peter Hart's Military History Podcast, and here we are for a special at Gallipoli. And this is a special because we have with us not only voluptuous sex god Gary Bain, but also Paul Hildyard, the talk of Bolton.
Hi everybody.
He's lovely, and he's going to give us the everyman response to a Gallipoli tour, which I think is quite valuable because we can blather on all we like, but we've been here quite a few times, and it's good to get the response of somebody else to the experiences that we've had. So that's what we're going to do, and we'll start off though with a quick review of the day so far. Gary.
Yeah. You said we were going to get Paul in because we were running out of things to say.
Yep. Desperate waving on.
Okay, so the day started as normal with 10 to 9 on the coach.
Oh, yes.
We had a special guest with us today. We had Merrin joined us on the coach today. And we regaled her with the usual singing, and she joined in with gusto and tune, unlike the rest of us.
Yeah, she was more in tune. Did you notice, Paul?
Yeah, she was good.
And we had a special treat as well because I'd never say that we're bullies, but we did play a lovely tune for, because she also had lost a dog to an erstwhile partner. And we feel very sorry because young Warren had also been parted from
Wayne,
No, he's not now. Just don't stop me off. But lovely Warren, who'd been parted from his pooch. And so we...
So we played...
I thought it was emotional and sensitive.
Give Me Back My Dog
Bye.
by a lovely band that we won't mention the name of this time because I'll only have to edit it out. But they are wonderful. Look it up on the internet, folks. So that was that. It was lovely, and we sang something we do every day where we go along. What is the name of that song? It's slipped my mind.
Istanbul, not Constantinople.
It's a cracker. Do you want to give me a couple of lines from it just to get us the feeling?
Istanbul, not Constantinople. No, it's Istanbul, not Constantinople. No, it's... Oh, well, I don't know.
That's wonderful, boys. Wonderful.
And all week I've been regaling young James Thompson with a love song each day on the coach.
What did you give him today?
Touch Me in the Morning, I think.
Yeah, that was a little bit weird. My favourite was Puppy Love, I have to say, because that went with the theme with Warren. And it went very well with the theme. Would you like to sing us a bit of that again? Because you did sing it very well.
And they called it Puppy Love, just because we're in our teens. That'll do.
That will do. Well,
this is supposed to be about Gallipoli.
Yes. So where did we go today? Paul, I bet you can't remember.
Tree.
We went to Tepi.
Oh, well done. That is smashing. Yeah. We got a lift near the top. Not quite as near as some of you were expecting, was it?
You said we get a lift to the top and we walk across it. I lied.
And I also gave advice, sound, practical advice to various walkers as to what walking equipment they need.
One of the party gave us a new strap line and said, Peter Hart Battlefield Tours don't believe the Eindeckers.
Well... Yes, but it was quite amusing as you struggled without your walking sticks.
Yes, I wonder why that was.
But what struck me about that was how big the hills were. And we talked, didn't we, Paul, about you could look down, you could barely see W Hills. Those big W Hills and Scimitar Hill.
Hill 10 had to be pointed out to me, and I've been seeing it accurately all week.
As large as a cucumber.
Large as a bush, usually.
Yeah, but you could see what we meant about how this was a giant hill.
Yeah.
And what did you think of W Hills and Green Hill and Chocolate Hill?
Well, they were tiny when you weren't climbing up them, weren't they?
Good point. But Tepi, that's not time.
That's a proper hill.
And the views to either side were worth it. Well, I'm not sure. It's an extra day trip, I thought. You get spectacular views, but it takes, 2 hours?
Yeah, two and a half. It's about 4 miles, wasn't it?
Yeah,
4.5 miles.
4.5 miles.
I would say.
And is it worth it in itself? For the views, yes. For the military context, I think you can probably work out from down there. That's the sound of wind on Gary's beer bottle. Of course, none of us are drinking. Hang on. Hey! That's better. I tell you.
It's a serious battlefield tour.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not a
serious
holiday.
battlefield. It's not a holiday.
And when we were up there, it did put everything in context, but it is a long way to go for a fairly obvious lesson, I thought. But it was an easy walk, but I loved it.
And it's a beautiful walk. Just for the scenery, it's
Is that
stunning.
'cause I was
It's
there?
stunning.
Yeah.
You were walking behind me, I seem to recall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is that what you mean by scenery?
I was trying not to look.
Is that why you
hard-
kept
it was
looking out
hard,
over
though.
the fields? Yeah.
It kept looking out over that beautiful view to the right, and over that beautiful wood. Anyway, we went eventually to a rather wonderful monument to the Bursa Gendarmerie, who had been responsible for the most of the fighting at on Kiryt Tepe. Karakol Dag and Kiryt Tepe. That was quite a monument. We had a bit of a sit down there. For some reason, some of the party wanted to sit down. I was feeling
A very
full.
recent monument. I think it had been there for a long time, but they'd sort of renovated it in about 2013.
And the actual monument, I don't feel is particularly ruined, but there's also a large symbolic graveyard to just sort of let people know of the men who died. Now, again, that's quite
Well, it's
nice.
certainly a list of Turkish names, which is important.
Of course, it's important.
Recognise the people by
It's as
name.
important as our lads.
Yeah.
And that's very important. And then we went. This was very much a bitty day. And then we went across to Eshiabat, where we had an ice cream. But we discussed that enough yesterday, although it may not be in the podcast that's released. and then we had lunch. It's all right, Paul. Leave it. His knob keeps falling off. And then we had a decision to make. Who was going to walk with me over Kiryt Bahir, the great objective, Oh, Gary's knob's fallen off. Oh, my knob's fallen off as well. Just forget the knobs, lads. We had to decide what to do. And I think most people, at the end of a long, hard trip, faced with another high ridge climb or plateau car, very sensibly decided to go to the hotel and sit by the beach, have a few beers, in your case, Gary, a lot of beers.
Well, in Paul's case.
Well, Paul's case.
Yeah.
And frolic in the surf.
We frolicked.
Well,
You didn't.
No, I didn't. I went to sleep.
the more serious-minded people, well, myself and 5 other idiots, went over Kiryt Bahir. Great walk. Gary, you've been up there before. You loved the walk. You just didn't want to do it this time. And I think that's always fair. Never do anything you don't want is a great motto in life.
Yeah, I think it's not a prison. It's a battlefield tour.
That's right. And that's the whole... But it was... The views from up there, I remember you were...
It's spectacular. I mean, it's an artillery road up, so it's a sort of windy road up, and you do at times think, is this never going to end? You do.
Do you think that?
Yeah, I think that about a lot of things. And it just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. But when you get to the top, I seem to remember it was a plateau. It was like a big, flat, almost like a football pitch.
Big, except 400 times bigger.
Well
It was
played.
big, wasn't it?
Arsenal's got a very big stadium.
Yes. It's almost always empty at the moment.
It is. So you get up there and you've got a really huge area, but then the walk down, as you come down, you go down towards Kiryt Bahir and the fort. You've got a fantastic view over the Narrows. And on a day like today, I should imagine you could probably see just about everything. There was no haze today.
No haze. It was clear as a bell. Although
It was windy, wasn't it?
You could see into the back of the forts and everything. It was great. We took some photos and we'll put some of them up. And then we came back here, had a swim. But now the last part of this podcast is really why we've invited Paul along. So what made you decide you wanted to come to Gallipoli? Because I mean the first time, but also this time. What is it about Gallipoli you feel is special?
Well, I think it's a different sort of battlefield from France and Flanders, isn't it? I mean, it's
How? Oh, sorry, I just disrupted. If only I was a better interviewer. What was my job?
What do you mean?
Well,
Sorry, Paul.
it's ridiculously small, isn't it, for one thing? But it's being surrounded by sea as well, it's spectacularly beautiful. And you could come on a holiday here without an interest in the battlefield, but you could.
Well, people do. There are people, like we mentioned earlier in one of the podcasts earlier in the week about V Beach, where you go to V Beach and there are people enjoying their holiday. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Paul.
But I think the other thing is that it's pretty much unchanged. I mean, so you get a fantastic idea of what it must have been like 105 years ago.
You mean trenches? Do you get trenched out? There are a lot of trenches.
There are a lot of trenches, but I was thinking more about things like the spit at V Beach, for example, and the sandbank at V Beach, behind which the Royal Dublin Fusiliers hid, or protecting themselves during the day. And Anzac, of course, Anzac is just stunning.
It's somewhere special, isn't it? Because that is the same. More scrub, but everything else is just, it's perfect, isn't it?
But you can't change hills and valleys, can you? Hills and valleys remain the same, even if the vegetation is a bit higher.
I think if you'd asked Messines Ridge, they might say.
yeah, change the geology.
Right, so sorry, we just leave you. You don't mind being left out?
No, I feel, again, this is the third time I feel like Princess Diana. The third person in this relationship.
You look a little bit like him.
Well, I'll tell you what. You
Well, this is like looking in a mirror.
No, you look a bit like Princess Di. You've got the same jutting jaw. Now, could you just and of course that is a grievously offensive remark to a rather wonderful woman. I apologise unreservedly to anyone I may have offended. Right, Gary, have you got a question you'd like to ask lovely Paul?
Well, one of the things that we've done throughout the week, Paul, is
drink,
but you were composing some ditties throughout the week.
Oh, that's right.
I think we will charge a membership, Gold Club membership, to hear the whole thing, because it does go on for about 58 hours. But for the benefit of the listeners, I thought it'd be good if you just sort of led me in one or two verses.
Can I join in?
You can join in, Peter. You can.
Okay, here we go. We are walking up the hill.
We are walking up the hill.
We're not sad, we're happy still.
We're not sad, we're happy still.
We are walking up the hill.
We are walking up the hill.
Gary's great, but Pete we'd kill.
Gary's great, but Pete will kill.
We are walking up the hill.
We are walking up the hill.
Kill him now, I'll pay the bill.
Kill him now, I'll pay the bill.
And now it gets better for you, Peter. We think Peter's lovely.
We think Peter's lovely.
Expert on Gallipoli.
Expert on Gallipoli.
Peter Hart is lots of fun.
Peter Hart, this is great.
Military historian.
Military historian.
Peter Hart has lots of pluck.
Peter Hart has lots of pluck.
Please go out and buy his book.
Please go out and buy his book.
Wow.
That's brilliant, Paul. Paul is a wonderful poet. Now, let's get back to serious topics. So
That was serious.
Oh, it's pretty serious. Is there any place you've visited that you particularly? I don't mean Anzac or V Beach or something like, perhaps, but a specific thing or specific site or specific story that really impressed you or really made you think about what happened here.
Sula Bay, I think.
Why?
Because it's all there. The beaches are there. The ridiculous land troops.
Sorry, I have to have a laugh at that. The Sula plan, yes.
And then march them around. What seemed like marching them around in small circles. It's a bit like the Grand Old Duke of York, wasn't it?
They were probably singing one of your songs, mate.
Probably were.
Well, they had plenty of time to do it.
They did, but
no,
backwards and forwards with very little water. Now that's we talked about that a lot because we measure it by bottles, don't we?
Well, today we carried 4 bottles of water, which we finished off
for 4 miles, 4.5 miles,
and these guys were just having 1 bottle of water a day,
pint of water, yeah, or a bit more, but that's it.
But the planning just seemed ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure from the sea you can see the hills. So why arrive on the beach and then not attack them?
So that was the thing that made you think first. What was your favourite bit in the sense of you just looked at it and thought, wow, the sort of drop.
The whole of Gallipoli.
Yeah, which is the sort of gobsmacking view or vista or.
Oh, it's got to be.
It's got to be Gary. Yeah, all right. So I'm sorry, I'm just not going to go any further with that. Is it which bit of Gary then?
Thank you very much.
No, I'm returning to the seriousness. What bit
It's got to be the walk down the ridges of Anzac. It's got to be
Rhododendron Ridge.
Rhododendron Ridge.
That's the best thing for
I
you.
think so. Or Pluggy's Plateau. That first view of all those valleys in front of you, and
When
the
you get to the
second
back
ridge.
of Pluggies,
Yeah, back of Pluggies, and in the second ridge line, and you can see where all the Quinns posts, Courtney's posts, Steel posts, and so on. Fantastic.
It's amazing to think that that's it. What you can see from the sea just behind you to just over there, and it's not much further than over there. Yes, young man.
Can I put forward an argument for the French?
Oh, you love the French.
I think it's often forgotten. I saw some stuff on Facebook or Twitter recently that said, I didn't even know the French were there. While we've been here, I've seen that. And I'd like to put forward the French sector.
What do you like? Well, come on then, Gary. That Paul's explaining is that I know it's difficult for you to speak coherently after the 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 pints you've had whilst I've been up Killingby here. But could you try and encapsulate your views?
Well, Paul and I were standing on the beach yesterday, weren't we, whilst you'd gone completely off piste and buggered off, frankly. And we were looking across to Asia. So we're standing on the French beach and we're looking across to Asia. And you think, hang on a second, talk about exposed. So we sat there and we're thinking, yeah, you can understand entirely how they were targeted from Asia. Then, a little further on, when we started the ascent, you start thinking, hang on, again, well, we spent, I don't know, hour and a half, something like that. Yeah. And we've got modern equipment and we're, reasonably fit.
We're fit.
Yeah, we're reasonably fit.
You are fit, both of you.
And, we were a bit of a state. And then on the way out, your son, Rob, found a French round of ammunition, which made his day because he'd been looking for about 4 years. And I just kept thinking all the way up, we're asking the French, to fight here. You had the sangers because they couldn't dig trenches, so they had to go above ground. I'm putting it in there for the French Massive.
Yeah, it's always a great sight. It is amazing, and I mean, my favourite still tends to, I waver back to W Beach. There's just so much there. The evacuation thing, and of course the evacuation is ever present in my mind. With
Is that because you've got a book coming out?
Yeah, that is entirely why.
What's it called?
I don't know. Just at the moment, I don't know. It's got the words evacuation and Gallipoli in it.
Gallipoli in it.
Yeah, well, Matt will be pleased that we mention it, won't he?
Yeah. Such a
But
positive way.
I do love that beach, and yet again, and I think you pointed out that it's different every time we go, in the sense that different lighters seem to go.
Yeah, well, there's a bit more erosion. We were looking at a couple of oil drums, John and I, that were there last year, but last year they had shells around them. The shells are gone.
With these banging shells.
Banging shells, they were.
What do you mean?
No, banging
Not
shells.
winkles.
Seashells.
I'm a First World War historian, not seashells. That'd be silly. And then, you contrast that with Suvla, where the beetle is, and the beetle from the last time you and I were here together, Paul, that beetle's unchanged.
Yeah.
But it's not getting eroded by the sea because it's much calmer. It's in a little bit of a bay there, so it's protected. So you have no change, and then at W Beach you have constant change. And I think I understand why you like W Beach. I like W Beach.
I like W Beach and V Beach.
I like
I wasn't that keen on that one Y Beach that we went to yesterday. It was nice when we got there.
No, but that's it. Tell me why. Because that's not on a commercial tour. You know damn well it's not on a commercial thing. What did you think about the descent? What did you think? Did it make you think about what it was like for the men? Because that's the real reason we do it. Because we're a walking tour where we've got people who are fit.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just...
What did you think of it as a place of landing?
Absolutely stupid. Oh, it was ridiculous, wasn't it? Getting down to that beach was bad enough. Getting up wasn't easy. But,
But also,
you just can't imagine what they went through, can you? Climbing up that in the dark, being shot, well, not being shot at.
Not being shot at, no.
But even so, not knowing what you were going to find when you go.
They
to
might
the
have been
top.
shot at.
Well,
If
can
you
I
would
talk
have been.
about what you might find? Because you found a shell embedded in the cliff.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that. That was a real find.
Yeah.
And should we put a photograph of
Yeah.
that up? Because was it you who found it?
Yeah, it was Paul.
Or your little lad?
No, it's Paul.
No, it was me.
It's very rare I call him little lad. Normally I call him your idiot son.
No, it was Paul. And if you think about it, that demonstrates the involvement not only of the men on the beach, but the Navy. You know, so that shell's been fired
Straight into the
cliff.
Mm.
Yeah.
And they were crucial. They landed them and then they got them off.
Yeah.
The Navy, they are very important, the Navy, and people forget them. That find was great, and I hope we've got decent photographs of it.
I'm sure we have.
Yeah,
I've seen one that we could use.
Well, we'll put that up, and the Paul Hildyard shell discovery. Now, any other special things? We're getting near the end now, but any other special? Also, it's big. The wind's starting to howl. Any other special things you remember from the trip?
I think one of the things, which I suppose is a plug for your oral history, is getting people to read out quotes from people who were there at the time. I mean, I think that really brings it home to people. You're standing in the spot and you're saying what they were seeing and what they were feeling. Really good.
Well, it's strange you should mention that because you won the award for actor of the tour, and there was against some good competition because your lad was brilliant, and you weren't the only one. There was lots of people that were good. There was the emotional raw pain of a chap called David who read very slowly but with great emotion. But your main highlight was your performance, two performances. One of Edmund Priestman. In his dying wail of a Turk, which I think will draw. That's not in good taste. But the other one was the cooey of the Australian going up the hill. Now, listeners, this may break the microphone, but Paul, could you do your best cooey for us?
I'll do that. Apologies to my Australian friends and your listeners. Here we go. This is a wild cooey.
Cooey! Now you do it.
Cooey.
Perfect. The contrast is stunning. Right, so do you think you'll come back to Gallipoli, Paul?
Definitely.
How often is the sort of... They're not with us, and there are many great battlefield tours. I mean, you might want to go with McLachlan battlefield tours. Oh, sorry.
McLachlan. Just think about how, when it's a Scottish first name. Jock
McLachlan. Jack!
So you made it worse.
There's lots of different tour companies, but you think you'll come back?
Definitely.
Why? You've been twice. What else is there to see?
Well, I think he can. There is a lot more to see because you've told me there's a lot more to see. But the stuff that we've already done is just worth repetition. I mean, I go to the Western Front. You go to the same places, so I'm not. It's not a case of not wanting to see the same thing over and over again. I think you get the emotion, don't you?
So it's not just.
But here it's the scenery and the beer. And
I was just going to say,
and the company.
It's not just because the beer's cheap.
And the company.
Well, the company tour groups have their own identity, and this one's had a fantastic identity. And I know that.
And the physical pain.
And the physical pain.
It's part of it, actually.
The physical pain.
Yeah, let's take it back to that.
That's a good point.
Somebody says. And I'm paraphrasing, but walking the ground is worth 1,000 pictures. Actually, the physical pain is part of that. So you mentioned the ridges, for example, and coming down those ridges.
You were uncomplaining.
You said the physical discomfort.
Yeah, the physical.
The pain,
yeah. But you're experiencing. Now they're going up it,
Yeah.
And we're quite uncomfortable coming down it.
And we're not carrying anything other than a few bottles of water.
And that's part of it. And certainly, I've been 4 times now, so twice as many. I'm almost an expert, Paul. So I've been 4 times, and I'm going to come back. Please.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Yeah. I think what he's doing, he's had a number of people speak this way, and I think he's conducting auditions. He thinks I'm daft.
I would never think that, Gary. You are like a giant sausage.
But I would like to bring this to a close, if I may, Peter.
Oh, and how are you going to do that?
Well, I'd like to thank you. I think we would like to thank you for leading the tour in such a cool, calm, professional way. The knowledge that you bring and the poise. And I'd just like to say thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
I'm not going to respond as I normally would.
You did very well.
You patronising.
Considering.
Well, let's say it's goodbye from Gallipoli.
Goodbye from me.
Hey, it's goodbye
And
from
goodbye
me.
from me.
Bye, Paul.
Bye, Paul. Bye, Gary.